Hello, and thank you for joining No Kid Hungry Tennessee's After School Meals webinar entitled Finding the Right Fit to Feed More Kids. Today is day 2 of our week-long series entitled Schools as CACFP Sponsors. My name is Marissa Spady, and I am going to be your moderator for this exciting week about after-school meals, highlighting several of the wonderful after-school meal programs that we have throughout the state of Tennessee. Today, we're going to explore what it means for a school nutrition department to not only serve the National School Lunch and Breakfast Program, but also to take on being a CACFP at-risk after-school meal sponsors. Today, we are going to hear from one of our experts here in Tennessee. We are going to hear from Jennifer Burleson, the School Nutrition Director from Bristol City Schools. Jennifer is going to share a little bit about how their district became a CACFP sponsor. She's going to share a little bit about some things that you might want to consider if you are thinking about starting a CACFP program. She's going to talk a little bit about the application, some of the staffing, and also about some menu planning. So we're excited to have Jennifer, and I will hand it over to her so she can tell us a little bit more about a school being a CACFP meal sponsor.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I wanted to give you a little bit of background for Bristol City Schools. We are a split city between Bristol City, Tennessee, and Virginia. We have an enrollment of approximately 4,000 students, and our district has a free and reduced rate of 46%. This is down from pre-COVID years, from a typical 50% rate for us, and that may affect the programs that we can offer and locations that we can offer meals for in the future. So we will just have to see the effect of that down the road. Bristol has participated in CACFP for approximately 6 years. We are a sponsor. We never had the option to partner with anyone else that I knew of, so we just broke out on our own and applied to be a sponsor in the program. We currently serve at 10 sites. We have 7 school sites, and we have 3 community sites that include YWCA, YMCA, and the Boys and Girls Club. We are serving approximately 2,000 meals per week or 72,000 meals per year. And we are currently discussing the addition of our high school athletic teams to our after school meals program. And this may add an additional 50 to 120 meals per week, depending on the season for the teams that will be involved in the program. So we're hoping that we can partner with those coaches to bring meals to their students. In transitioning from National School Lunch Program snack to CACFP meals, our biggest complaints from our students were hunger and lack of variety in the snacks that we could offer. With reimbursement rates being low for after-school snack program, we really found it difficult to expand the size of the snack offered, and even were challenged with what we could offer in the snack. The benefits in the transition to our meal program was that our students, teachers, and parents were much happier with the meal versus the snack. I've never heard complaints about it. We meet every year with our teachers. We go over our plans for the year and have our annual CACFP training, and I only hear good things. And that to me is the best feedback that we could get. They like what we serve. They like how we serve it. There's really no complaints, and the feedback we get is largely positive. There are some differences between the programs that I wanted to just go over briefly. The reimbursement, of course, is different, and that's in a positive way. The reimbursement for after-school meals is $4.08 per meal compared to $1.08 for a snack. When you want to consider transitioning to beginning an after-school meal program, the application can be fairly daunting, and I would consider that in your planning for the process. TIPS is the system that we use in Tennessee for the application and payment processing system, and they typically open the application in June, and I highly suggest that you have planned for that. It's a large project, and when TIPS is open, I typically begin our renewal application every year, just to be able to have it completed by the end of July. I would say the first year is the most challenging. There is just a lot of paperwork that has to be gathered from your sites, anything from fire reports to health inspection reports, staffing, and just overall planning that has to be documented for policies and procedures are in place to have a good program. One small difference is that their year runs from October 1 to September 30, which is different than the typical operational calendar for a school system. It doesn't really affect what we do, but it is a consideration in how you plan and track your finances. So that's something that you need to know up front. The staffing that we have for our meal program, and can be different from other systems. Myself, I have an assistant that takes care of paperwork here at the office level. I have a cafeteria manager, and additionally, I have an assistant cafeteria manager, and we all take care of the paperwork, the site visits, production records, training, onboarding of new staff. We just all jump in there and do it together. We do have meal preparation at one single location for after school meals. It is a lot for an addition of this program to breakfast and lunch. So you have to consider the space that you have for storage, for training, for storage, just a freezer, dry stock, cold stock. It can all be very demanding when you're adding this many meals per day and per week. We do a combination of cold and hot meal prep. We alternate typically those days, simply because of staff shortages. If we have a hot meal, those days are typically more demanding and more time consuming. And so a cold meal or a cold bag the next day offsets any kind of staff shortage we have and gives them a little bit of a break the next day to make those meals. We've also purchased a sealing machine, which you can see in the picture. We purchased a smaller version because we have a smaller program, and this machine, although expensive, has proven to be very beneficial to our program. It allows the meals to be stored. They can stack more easily, and our staff, it's a good piece of equipment. The staffing of our sites, we have folks at each site that oversee the meal dispensing. They are trained every year for the CACFP guidelines, and they take care of the site work of giving the meals out, following the rules for giving the meal as a bundle, making sure our rosters are completed appropriately and completely, and then that paperwork flows back to us so we can do our claim in the most correct manner that we need to. So things to consider when starting CACFP meals. Finances, of course, is on everyone's mind in beginning a new program. And of course, the reimbursement rate is higher, but you also have to be fiscally responsible to spend those funds, as we are in a nonprofit world. So keeping track of what expenses that you have, the revenues that you have, is just a concern on the forefront. Transportation for us was an issue that we had to consider going into this program. We purchased an additional van last year, which is helpful not only for after school meals, but we use it in the summer as well. We also have an older school bus that we use to transport meals every day. And we additionally have a food truck that will do meals occasionally for our after school meals program. So when considering the food that we use in our menu, lots of considerations for that. We do utilize commodity foods, and we receive cash in lieu of commodities as part of our reimbursement rate for after school meals. I monitor the things that we use in our menus, and I also make the menus. So I try to change the menus throughout the year at least 4 or 5 times, because we have a weekly rotating menu and I don't want there to be menu fatigue. So we try to change things up those 4 or 5 different times so that students are getting what they want to eat and they get a variety. And we can also incorporate some fresh fruits and vegetables in there, and utilize any commodities that we need to be pulling from our distributor. So then the next slide is our menu that we share with all of our sites. This menu became effective this week. Again, you can see that we have the 3 hot days and the 2 cold days. A large part of the entree items are, of course, our commodities, and we utilize those. If we do have a menu change due to shortages or supply issues, we always have to make sure the menu that we are sharing for the day is sent out to each and every site. And that can be a little, I guess, labor intensive to print a new menu every time we change something. So we try not to have changes, but those happen. So we try to always make sure that we post these in every site and then update them as we need to. One thing that our auditors have always been very specific about is making sure that each menu is labeled for whole grain items, specific serving sizes. We also include our condiments in there. One benefit of the program is that you don't have to do your color groups as you would for National School Lunch. I still try to add those in there, but it does give you a little more flexibility in terms of the planning of menus. Overall, I would say that CACFP meals have been great for our students and our families. We have even had parents stop our managers out in public, say Walmart, and thank them for giving their kids meals after school. A lot of these kids are having tutoring services. They are participating in after school programs, and parents may not pick them up till 5:30 or 6 o'clock. And I know that they're very appreciative of the program, and I know that our community is very supportive of this program, as well as our school board. So thank you for letting me share our information, and I appreciate you having me on today.
Awesome. That was a great overview, and we appreciate all of the details that go into sharing about the CACFP program, especially as being a sponsor as a school nutrition department. We heard lots of great details about how a school system can be a CACFP sponsor. Anything from alternating your cold and your hot meals, changing out your weekly menu 4 to 5 times a week, or excuse me, a year, to make sure that kids are getting variety, and knowing how to use those commodity foods, if available, in your menus, and how to utilize all of your staffing to make sure that you are being covered, and making sure everyone is well trained to be able to do all the monitoring and keeping track of the rosters and serving of the meal. So we thank you, Jennifer, for all of your information. And if anyone is interested in learning more about how they personally can become a sponsor of CACFP, please make sure that you will reach out through our inquiry form, and we will help put you in touch with someone such as Jennifer, who could possibly answer any questions you may have, and or of course get you in touch with the Department of Human Services for next steps. As we look ahead to our next few days of our exciting after school meals webinar series, Tomorrow is day 3, and we will talk about how a school system partners with an administrative CACFP sponsor and what that could look like. It's a little bit of a unique setup, but we hope you will take time to join us for that call. On day 4, we will have a school system who is serving the National School Lunch Program, the snack, while one of our community-based organizations brings in a CACFP meal, and how they can work together to best meet the students in their community. And last but not least, on day 5, we're going to have the next best steps to help you all feed more students in your community. We hope you will join us. We thank you for your time. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us via the inquiry form. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.